XLM holders, welcome back to the Crypto ZX channel. Happy Monday, wherever you are around the world. We're going to be taking a look at what's happening with the price of Stellar and, of course, what we could be expecting as we are going, further into the week. So, if we're looking across the board, as far as Monday is concerned, we're starting off on a really positive note. As you can see for yourself, majority of the market is up. Stellar up 6.3% today. Again, if you're looking at it on a weekly time frame, it's still up about 7.5%, but I don't want you guys to forget on the monthly time frame. Still a lot of coins down right now on the monthly time frame. But let's take a closer look and see what's happening with XLM. Again, obviously, we know the correlation, positive correlation that we usually do tend to see between Stellar and XRP, and XRP is on the move right now. And obviously, there's a lot of rumors flying around that we could see a spot ETF coming soon. But again, the broader market is something we also want to kind of keep in mind. But let's take a closer look at XLM. The price is currently sitting at 30 cents right now, up 5.3% on the Bitcoin side of things. A valuation approaching $9.7 billion dollars, and the 24-hour trading volume at about 300 million. As always, just a quick disclaimer, anything on this channel is not financial advice. Always do your own due diligence and research when you are investing in crypto. So of course, we're going to start off with the Bitcoin dominance first and foremost. You can see for yourself, as far as the Bitcoin dominance is concerned, still stagnant around this key range. Obviously, ignore these drawings. Pretty much, if you want to know what this really means, I want to see the dominance start to show weakness. It's very, very important for the dominance to show weakness, because I think that would be a big sign for specifically altcoin holders. And in this case, XLM holders would benefit out of this, especially if the dominance starts to pull down and, Bitcoin gradually, does push back up to some of these key levels. As far as Bitcoin price is concerned, I'm sure if you're a regular viewer on the Crypto ZX channel, you guys know my overall stance on the Bitcoin price action. Yes, Bitcoin has seen quite a big move over the course of the last 24 hours, about a 5% move for Bitcoin. It's not small by any means, and that is obviously due to the announcement of stimulus checks and obviously government shutdown announcements coming up, and that has really caused the broader market to push towards the upside. You can see for yourself, Bitcoin came up to $106,722, but we actually did not manage to break above. We're actually facing some key resistance, and speaking about key resistance, we're about to face more resistance around the $107,600 price point. And even then, I'm not too optimistic about this price action, unless of course Bitcoin is able to get back in the 23.6 and start heading up to our confirmation zone. But even if Bitcoin is gradually moving towards the upside, we want to see the dominance start to show some weakness. And as of now, you could pretty much see we're ranging around this level pretty much since November 7th. So you haven't really seen any sort of weakness on the dominant side of things. We would see that if we're able to push back down to 59.5%, pretty much where we were on October 30th. But with that said, let's take a look at what's happening with XLM's price right now as of recording this update. Let me give it a refresh live, and let's take a look at it. So these are the wrong chart. We need to bring there we are. So see for yourself. Obviously, I've discussed with you guys, this pattern here. A lot of people usually tend to talk about, some of the higher time frames and obviously higher price action. But again, on this channel, I try to stay away from that, because we just cannot ignore the levels that are, coming in front of us right now. Those are more important levels to be looking out for before we can even start, focusing on, the higher time frames and obviously the higher price action. But as of now, what's quite impressive, and I've obviously highlighted this to you guys before as well, we're still accumulating, within this pattern here, which again is below the 41.4 cents price point. And what's quite impressive, and I mentioned this in my XLM update last, that October 10th, as we know, one of the biggest liquidation events that happened this year, and the biggest liquidation in the crypto history. And obviously, we were sitting literally at 41.2 cents prior to this retracement. We saw a retracement of about 32%. But I did also mention that XLM is one of the coins that held up much better than a lot of people are realizing. But of course, we did drop below the October 10th level. We came down to 25.3 cents. As we know, you can see for yourself, when we did see the price of Bitcoin on November 4th dropping below the $100,000 price point for the first time since June. That is going to obviously have an impact on the altcoin market, and XLM is no exception. So I know a lot of people are probably wondering why the price dropped below the October 10th. What you need to understand is this is one of the very few projects that held actually better it's not that, it did not get impacted. It definitely got impacted by the move, but it held better than a lot of other coins. Some coins saw a wick down 60, 70% as well. So again, it's no secret that, we did drop below that key support line, but you can see we came down to 25.3 cents price point. And since then, quite an impressive, move towards the upside, about a 22.8% increase over the last 1 week. But what's quite impressive here for XLM is the fact that we didn't even retest the key support line at 24.1 cents. Again, last time we were at that key range is back in July. So that should let you know how, important that key support is. But the fact that we didn't retest it is something quite interesting to take away. But also at that same point on, you can see, we're actually in this downwards trend for XLM. We're actually in this downwards trend. So could we drop below this key support line? We don't want to see that happening, of course. As you guys know, dropping below this key support line is something we don't want to see. But with Bitcoin, if Bitcoin does not hold around these key levels, and as you guys know, Bitcoin, in my opinion, there's still a chance, of course, unless of course we're below these key levels, there's still a chance on the table that we do push back down to these key levels below 100K. If that happens, we might still see this downwards trajectory, pretty much playing. But if we're able to break out of the key resistance, pretty much as where we were prior to this major retracement, I think that could be very exciting. And that itself is about a 37.4% move from where we currently are. But this is where, in my opinion, excitement kicks in for XLM, because being above this key range is critical. And then I think we could start heading up to where we were in the month of July. I want you guys to put it into perspective. Obviously, the yearly high from last year, literally a year ago, we are from right now, we are about 113% away for us to retest that. But from that key resistance, that's only a move of about 55.4%, as you can see for yourself. So right now, forget about that key resistance. First and foremost, we want to get back up to this key resistance, but we cannot ignore some of the resistance that we will be facing around the 34 cents price point, which we were actually at the end of October. So, reclaiming back above that would be very interesting. It's about a 12.15% move. Again, if Bitcoin is able to get back up to this key range, dominance shows a little bit of weakness. I do personally believe that is something to be looking out for XLM in the near future. Let me know in the comments what you guys personally think. What are your overall thoughts on XLM, and what are your projections on XLM's price? And yeah, what's your overall forecast for the year of 2026? Do you think we're going to see an extension as far as the bull market is concerned? Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for all the love. We'll see you later in Crypto ZX, and peace.